it's Legionero of Legionero.com, a DIY fashion and education blog, coming to you today with another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to sew up this stylish diagonal clutch bag. So let's get started. Let's talk about some of the tools you're going to need for this project. Since we'll be drafting our pattern, you're going to need some craft paper. This paper and stand I got from IKEA. I'll link all the information in the description box below. I love this stand because you can just tear off the paper and use the amount that you need. You can also use this craft paper. I purchased this craft paper from the Dollar Tree. I love the Dollar Tree because everything's $1. A pen or pencil, a ruler. I have this notepad here to jot down my measurements, some wonder clips. If you're not using a faux leather or leather, you can use pins. You need 2 sets of scissors, one for paper and one for fabric. Some coordinating thread. Some pattern weights. I got these from the Home Depot just for a few cents. For the fabric, I'm using this denim fabric that I purchased from Fine Fabrics. I'm using this Wonder Woman as fabric as my lining. I purchased this from Walmart. It's a fat quarter, and I'm using 2 of them. And you'll need a zipper. So let's get started. Let's draft our pattern. I'll place all of the measurements for the pattern in the description box below, and I'll also tell you why I'm drawing it out as well. I'm starting on my left side, and the measurement for the left side of the clutch bag is 15. So I've placed my ruler. Using my mat, this helps me draw the lines straight, so I can also see the lines under my paper, so that's going to help me as a guide as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw for my left side 15 inches. I'm going to count that again just to make sure I got it right. Okay. Now for the bottom of my clutch bag, that measures 13. So I'm going to start at the bottom of my 15-inch line. Using my ruler, I'm going to go over 13 inches. Okay, and the right side of my clutch bag is 11.5. So to make it easy for me, I'm just going to start at 11.5. I'm going to make sure it's lined up. Now all we have to do is connect the lines drawing our slant, but to make it easy for me, I measured it out and it's 13.5. So just to double check, you can line your ruler up to make sure that it's 13.5, and it is. And to make it easy for you, go ahead and label your pattern. So this side is 11.5, the bottom is 13, the left side is 15, and the top is 13.5. I'm going to write the name of my pattern, Slanted Clutch Bag. Cut 2 of fabric cut 2 of lining, and if necessary, cut 2 of interfacing. Now we're going to take our paper scissors and we're going to cut around. I'm just using the pattern weights to hold my pattern down. Now let's take our pattern and we're going to cut our fabric. This is my denim fabric, which will be the outside of my clutch bag. I have it laid out with right sides facing. I'm going to take my pattern piece and place it on top of the denim fabric. Just going to line it up as straight as I can, and then use my pattern weights to hold it down. Now that we have the fabric for the outside of our clutch bag cut out, you cut the lining fabric the same way. Now, quick tip, when you're cutting out your fabric and your lining for this project, you want to make sure that your fabric is right side spacing. If you do not cut your fabric right side spacing, your lining will not coordinate with your pattern piece. So, for example, you want to make sure that when you cut them right side spacing, your lining is going face down. So your lining and your fabric will be right side spacing. And you want to make sure that you cut it the correct way. So that they line up. So if, let's say you didn't cut your fabric with right side spacing, this is what will happen. Your lining won't line up with your pattern piece. So make sure that you please cut your fabric with right side spacing. Now, working with one side of the bag, you have your outside fabric and your lining. You have them right side spacing. You're going to take your zipper and you're going to make sure that your zipper pull is facing down, and you're going to place it on the outside fabric and line it up. I like to use a wonder clip here just to make sure it stays in place. Then you take your lining fabric and you place that on top of your zipper. Then you take your wonder clips and you clip all 3 layers together. Once you have all 3 layers together, you're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to sew down this side using your zipper foot. Now I'm starting on the pointed edge of the slant because my zipper pull is on this end. So I'm going to start on the more easier side to sew. So you have your zipper foot, make sure you're using your zipper foot, and you want to sew, make sure you back stitch at the beginning and at the end, and remove your clips as you go. Now what I'm going to do, I'm opening my sides up so I can see my zipper, and I'm going to take my bag and flip it so now the wrong sides are facing. I'm going to take this to the ironing board and give it a good press, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to top stitch this just to give it a clean finish. Now that I've given this a good press, I'm going to change to my regular presser foot. And I'm going to top stitch really close to the edge, making sure not to grab my zipper tee. Now we're going to go to the table and we're going to attach the other side of our clutch bag to the other side of the zipper. Now let's attach the other side of the bag to the other side of the zipper. So what you're going to do, you're going to take your fabric piece, turn it right sides facing, and you're going to line it up with the zipper just like you did the last time. I'm going to put a wonder clip here to hold it. I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm going to place my lining right sides facing on the other side of the zipper. Then you take your wonder clips and finish clipping all 3 layers together. Now that you have this all clipped together, take it to the sewing machine, and with your zipper foot, you're going to sew down this edge just like we did the other side. Okay, so I'm going to try to sew at a different angle so my hand won't be in the way. Make sure you change back to your zipper foot, and we're going to sew down this side, back stitching at the beginning and at the end, removing our clips as we go. Okay, now that we have this side sewn down, I'm going to open it up again to make sure that this side of the bag has the wrong sides facing. I'm going to take it to the ironing board, give it a good press. I'm going to come back and I'm going to top stitch. Using my regular foot, I'm going to top stitch down this edge. I like to fold this side of my bag just so that it doesn't bunch up as I'm sewing. Make sure you switch to your regular foot and then top stitch down this edge. Now let's take this to the table and finish putting our bag together. Now that we have both sides of our bag attached to our zipper, the first thing you want to do is unzip your zipper about halfway. If you don't unzip your zipper, then you won't be able to turn your bag around once we finish sewing around. What you're going to do, you're going to take the outside pieces and line them up right sides facing, and the lining pieces right sides facing. You're going to take your wonder clips and you're going to clip all the way around, leaving about a 5-inch opening in your lining. When I'm clipping my bag together, I like to start at the zipper. When you're clipping your bag together, make sure that your zipper tape is facing the lining. I take my clips and I just clip around the bag. Now that your bag is all clipped together, you're going to sew around, leaving about a 5-inch opening at the bottom of the lining so that we can turn our bag to the right side once we're done. Now we're going to sew around our bag. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and at the end. And when you come to the bulky parts around the zipper tape, just make sure you backstitch at those areas as well. And don't forget to leave the opening in your lining so that we can turn your bag over once we finish. Okay, now I'm going to leave an opening here, so I'm going to pull out my lining. And I'm going to start sewing again at my next clip. Sewn our bag and we left our opening in the lining. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to place it on the inside of the lining, unzip my zipper just a little bit more. I unzipped it halfway before I sewn it, and turn my bag inside out. Make sure you push out your corners. I'm just using my finger, my thumb. You can use a point turner, or you can use your scissors. Just be careful not to cut through your fabric. And just continue turning your bag to the right side. Now that we have our bag turned to the right side, you're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to close up this opening that you left in the lining by just edge stitching. Now I'm just going to close the opening that we left in the lining. If you don't know where to start and stop, you can place pins at your openings. Just to let you know, I'm just going to use my finger. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and at the end. We've closed the opening that you left in the lining. All we have to do now is place your lining on the inside of your bag. I just like to make sure my lining is straightened out in here. You don't want it to be bulky. Now that we're all done, you can take it to your ironing board, give it a good press, fold it over, and you're all done. So that's it, guys. Now you know how to draft the pattern as well as how to sew up this diagonal clutch bag. If you make your own clutch bag, don't forget to tag me on social media at Legionero. All of the information and links will be in the description box below, and I'll see you in my next video.